Hello everybody, my name is Owen, and today I'm in a creative test world to do a mod spotlight on Buildcraft. Now, Buildcraft is a very interesting mod. It was one of the first mods that I ever really got into. It adds a whole bunch of new stuff, like it adds engines and power and item transportation and automatic crafting and automatic sorting and automatic mining and a whole bunch of cool stuff. So, before it gets too dark and before I take too long on this, let's get started with showing you guys Buildcraft. Alright, so one of the first things you're going to want to make when messing with Buildcraft is this thing. It's a wrench. It is created like this with 3 pieces of iron and a stone gear. Now, there are a bunch of different types of gears. If we look them up, the ones that come from Buildcraft are the wooden gear, the stone gear, which is crafted with a wooden gear surrounded by stone, the iron gear, which is iron surrounding a stone gear, a gold gear, which is gold surrounding an iron gear, and a diamond gear, which is a gold gear surrounded by diamonds. So the wrench is going to be very important when you're trying to make your systems, because it'll allow you to rotate things, and trust me, you want to make one. So it just requires a stone gear with that. Alright, so some of the first things you're going to want to make, the first thing you want to make when you're playing with Buildcraft are engines. Engines will supply you with your power and allow you to do basically everything in Buildcraft. There are 3 different tiers of engines. There is the redstone engine, which is the cheapest and simplest. It's made with wood planks, piece of glass, 2 wooden gears, and a piston. There's the Sterling engine, which is like the medium tier, which is made out of cobblestone, glass, 2 stone gears, and a piston. And then there's the combustion engine, which is the highest tier of engine you can get. It's made with iron gears and some iron ingots and stuff. So let's place these in the world and see what they look like. I will start with this one. This is the redstone engine. Yeah, fancy. It's not doing much right now. So to demonstrate to you guys how they work, I'm going to be hooking up some pipes, which I'll get into later. These will allow me to transmit power. This block here is from thermal expansion. It's a different mod, but allows you to store Buildcraft energy. I'm just using this for someplace energy to go. Otherwise, bad things will happen. So I'll just set up the 3 engines here. Now you'll notice that like this engine here is facing towards it. That's how you want them to be oriented. So you can either break and replace them constantly until they're oriented the right way, or you can just right-click on them with a wrench, and it will rotate them to all possible things that they can perform work on. So when I hit this one, it looked towards the wooden conductive pipe because it can work on that, and like if I was to hit it again, it wouldn't do anything because there's nothing else for it to work on. So now how to get these to produce energy? All you have to do is apply a redstone signal. And you gotta give it a minute here. Alright, so quick note, redstone engines cannot connect to wooden conductive pipes. But this is another kind of wooden pipe which we'll get into later, but basically it allows the redstone engine to work on it. So you can see that the redstone engine all engines start out very slow. They're not very fast. The redstone engine here is the lowest tier, and it's also the least powerful. In Buildcraft, their energy is called Minecraft joules, and it's abbreviated MJ. So each time that plunger hits the front like that, it produces 1 Minecraft joule, which is not very much. These produce very little, and they're used really not for much. They have a couple of uses, but they're kind of obsolete. So then over here, we have our 2nd tier engine, the Sterling engine. Now, when I hit the lever, actually I'll put it on here, when I hit the lever, nothing happens. The reason being, you have to supply a fuel for this. The fuel that you give the Sterling engine is coal, basically anything that can be used in a furnace. And you'll notice that it starts to work, and it pumps much faster. Now the difference between this engine and that engine is this engine produces, I think it produces 1 Minecraft joule per tick. So there are 20 ticks per second, and these produce 20 Minecraft rules per second, basically. And each time the plunger hits the front is when it's transmitted into here. So if you look in here, we can see that we're building a slowly building up a little bit of power. Now, you'll notice that it is pretty slow right now, but they will heat up. It takes a while for them to get to full speed. It doesn't waste power either way, so you're still going to get the same amount of power if it's doing this slow or if it's at full speed. It's just the speed at which the power transmit changes. So that's your Stirling engine. Now over here we're at the combustion engine. The combustion engine is the maximum tier of engine, and if we right click on it, we'll notice that it also has an interface. You can see here there are two like tank things here. Those are where you store your liquids. Now a combustion engine, as you may be able to figure out, it's like the engine in a car. It needs fuel to run off of. You can put a couple different things in here. You can put oil, excuse me. You can put oil, biofuel, if you have forestry installed, creosote oil, I think if you have Railcraft installed. But with Buildcraft by itself, you can put in here oil, fuel, and lava. Now lava will get you 1 Minecraft jewel per tick, so the same as a Stirling engine here. Oil, I'm not sure the exact number on oil, but I know that it's not the best way to do it. But it is still pretty good. And then there's the fuel can, or then there's fuel. And if you look on here, on the tooltip it says can produce 6 Minecraft joules per tick for 10,000, what's that, that's 100,000 ticks in a combustion engine. So you can pump liquids directly in to the engines, or you can use cans. So if I put the can in there, you'll see we now have a little bit of fuel right there. And if I put in some water, you also want to put water in, like I did, because water, you see how there's the heat here? If this thing heats up too much, it will explode, and it explodes very violently. Now, you can visibly tell the heat by looking at the color of the plunger, or not the plunger, but like the color of the blue thing there. It changes color from blue to green to orange to red. When it gets to red, it's too hot and will explode if it stays red. Redstone engines can't explode. Stirling engines won't explode unless there's nothing for them to work on. So if I was to destroy this and leave it there, it would eventually explode. But combustion engines can explode if they get too hot, and they get hot pretty fast. So you want to make sure there's a constant supply of water. So we'll just put it up to the top. And I'll put another fuel can in there. So, you'll notice that when I turn this one on, it starts out much faster. See? And that one there changed color to green. So it's pumping really fast now. And you can see the heat's building up, and it's producing 6 Minecraft joules per tick. This is your best bet for producing energy, is you want to use these. So I'm going to shut them off so they don't explode. And we can now move on to our next little bit. Alright, so the next thing we're going to look at is transport pipes and how you can move items around using Buildcraft. So, the first kind of pipe you're going to know about is the wooden transport pipe. This pipe, made with 2 pieces of wood, a piece of glass in the middle, gets you 8. These are your beginning pipe. You need these. So let's say you have a chest down. The wooden transport pipes allow you to pump items out of the chest. And also, we're going to need some pipes to attach to that, so you have 2 choices for your basic types of pipes. You have cobblestone transport pipes, which are made with cobblestone and glass, and you have stone transport pipes. These are your 2 basic kinds of pipes. So you just kind of hook them up to whatever. And you'll notice on the wooden transport pipe here, you have this dark end and the clear end. Now, the dark end here, the dark end is where items will get pumped out from. So whatever side that dark end's on means nothing can go in this way, but things will get pumped out of that inventory. and then they'll get pumped into the chest, move along, and because that's a clear end, it means they'll get deposited in this chest. So, if I put 31 cobblestone in there, you'll notice nothing's happening. So, to fix that, what we have to do is we have to apply power to this pipe. Now, the easiest way to do this is with a redstone engine. You could use a Stirling or combustion engine, but they're kind of a waste. Redstone engines are fine once they heat up. So for example, apply the redstone signal, it will start to go, and every time the plunger hits the front, one item will get pumped out. So you'll see the cobblestone is getting pumped out of this chest, put into the pipe, flowing through here, and it will then get deposited in this chest. Very cool. Now, another thing to note is that if the pipe ends, items traveling through the pipe will still keep moving. They will then get shot out of the pipe when it hits the end of the pipe. Kind of get dropped on the ground. So you have to make sure that the pipe, everything has somewhere to go. The same thing for, like, if there's no room in an inventory, which I will show you in just a second. Alright, so, as you can see, we're pumping cobblestone out of this chest. It's going to go into this chest, but this chest is completely full of stuff. So when that piece of cobblestone hits there, it's going to get dropped on the ground, just like if it would if the pipe ended there. So you'll see, ready, and there we go. It's on the ground, and it's not going to go into the chest. So you have to be careful when designing your pipe systems that this kind of thing doesn't happen, because it can cause a lot of lag if you let a whole bunch of stuff build up. Alright, so now what happens if you have an intersection like this? It has 3 different ways to go. Let's see what happens when you pump the items into that. So as the items go, when they hit the intersection, they're going to pick one of the 3 ways to go and just go in that direction. They don't care, there's no type of order to it, it's just random. So it'll pick whichever way it wants to go. So if it wants to go straight, it'll go straight. Let's see which way this goes. Okay, that one went straight. This one here also went straight. This one here went to the right. And this one here went straight. See, so there's no real type of pattern or anything to it. It just kind of goes wherever way it wants. So keep that in mind when you're using these pipes. So you've seen that you can pump items into chests, but you can pump items into a whole bunch of other stuff too. Such as, like, furnaces. Now, let me just get some more transfer pipe here. With furnaces, you'll notice that, like, it has the 3 inventory spots. Well, depending on which side you pump items into, it depends on which side it'll go into. So it's slot sensitive. So like the top, if you pump items into the top, so if I was to put it here, and I had some pipes going kind of up like this. So if we were to pump items and they were going to go on the top one, they'd hit the top, and then they'd go in this top slot here. If things were to come out this bottom one and go in the bottom, they'd end in the bottom slot there. So if I was to turn on this engine, we can watch some cobblestone come out. And depending on which way it goes, depends on which slot on the furnace it will go into. Now, for most like objects that you can pump items in and out of, this is basically the way it works. Is at the top and bottom you pump items in. See, the cobblestone is going in the bottom here. So we should have 3 pieces of cobblestone in the bottom, and 1 on the top. Well, 4 on the bottom, 1 on the top. You'll see as the bottom one arrives here, that will go up to 4, and then when the top one lands in here, you'll have it in there. Take that out, and there we go. And once you smelt something, to pump it out, you have to pump it out one of the sides. So you have to put it down a wooden transport pipe with an engine to pump it out. That's important to note. And that's the way most mods work. If you're going to pump something into an item, usually it's pumped out of the side, like the output is the sides and the inputs are the top. Alright, so let's say you have like four stacks of cobblestone. So let me just get myself some cobblestone here. So let's say you have all of this cobblestone and you want to turn all that into smooth stone. Well, you can't pump the items in, because if you're starting to pump them in and this is full, it's just going to end up on the ground. So to remedy this, there is the hopper. The hopper is made with a stone gear, iron, and a chest, and you simply put it on top of a machine. So put it there. You notice that it has an interface. We can put items in here, and then if we were to go into here, we could take out like a half stack of cobblestone. The items will filter out of here and will go into here. So this is useful for if you're pumping in large quantities of item. You can hook them up like that, and it'll go in, and as they're smelted down, another one will filter just right out of here. And the cool thing is, you can stack these things as high as you want. There's no limit to how high you can stack them. So that's useful for using one furnace for smelting everything you have. So, if you noticed before we had this stone transport pipe, I haven't really talked about this yet. This, along with the cobblestone transport pipe, which is there, are the two most basic kinds of pipe. The difference between these two, though, is that they don't connect, which is very important. Very important. Because you notice that cobblestone will connect to cobblestone, and you can't break it off or anything. Like, you can't have two lines of cobblestone pipe running next to each other. You have to actually have a stone one. So you could have alternating patterns like this, and they won't connect. And also, wooden transport pipes won't connect to each other either. So that's good to know. So you can have multiple lines running next to each other. You just have to differentiate between the different kinds of pipes. Alright, so remember how we had this set up and we couldn't really control which way the items went, which we couldn't control that. That's what the iron transport pipe is for. If we look at its recipe, it's 2 iron ingots with a piece of glass in the middle. And basically, if we were to put it in this intersection here, we would notice that it has, well, a couple different colored sides. The dark sides here will not let items pass through it that way, but if we right-click on it with a wrench, we can see that it now gets a light side. That light side is where items can flow through. So right now, any items coming in here will flow out that white side. If we right-click again, you right-click it, it will go out that way, and if you right-click on it with a wrench, like I was going to say, it will actually change the direction it's going to go. So, it's not going that way, now it's going this way. So this way you can kind of control what way you want your stuff to go. So you'll notice that these pipes here, they're very slow when things are pumped into them. They're quite slow. Like this piece of cobblestone, it'll take like 10 seconds for it just to go like these 5 or so blocks to this next chest. That is what the golden transport pipe recipe is, gold ingot with glass mineral gets you 8. This fixes that problem. Basically, this pipe here, it acts as, let me put it in the middle here so you can see it better. It basically acts as like a boost. So if we were to throw cobblestone in there, it'll get pumped out, and it'll slowly move its way through these pipes. But as soon as it hits the golden pipe, it's going to get a speed boost, and it's going to speed up. Now, one golden pipe by itself is not going to boost it very much, and they will slow down over time eventually. But if you put multiple pipes, it will cause it to speed up more. Now also, there is a difference between stone and cobblestone transport pipes when it comes to speed. When pumped out, so you can see how much faster that one was going. Like if I was to move this way down here, you'll be able to see that much better. Go over here, put that in there. But anyways, stone transport pipes have a much lower speed loss. So notice that they do slow down over time, but cobblestone pipes have a greater speed loss. Boom. They have a greater speed loss over time. So if you're going to make any long systems with golden transport pipes, you want to use these stone transport pipes, not the cobblestone ones, even though cobblestone ones are cheaper. Alright, so now we're getting to a couple of the special kinds of pipes. The first special kind of pipe I want to show you is called the void pipe. Now the void pipe, it's made like so, and essentially what it does is it's basically a garbage dump. Any item that is pumped into it will be destroyed and be gone forever. It's put into the void. So let's say you don't want cobblestone anymore, you can pump cobblestone into that pipe, and it will be gone forever. Alright, so then the next kind of pipe is the obsidian transport pipe. This pipe here, let me actually get myself a cobblestone pipe. This pipe here basically allows loose items to get put into a pipe system. So if I was to throw an item on there, you'll notice that it's getting sucked up and it would get put in the pipe system. But it has to be on like the same block. If I throw them around here, it doesn't work. But if it hits the pipe, it goes in, and they all end up in this chest here. Cool. Now the next pipe is the sandstone transport pipe, which is made with sandstone. The cool thing about sandstone transport pipes is that they don't connect to machines. So I can put these all around it, and they don't connect like a normal pipe would. Like as you see. Oops. There's some dirt here. You can see like right there, that's connecting, but none of the sandstone ones are. So sandstone pipes are good for if you have to have a pipe system running by machines, but you don't want items going into the machine. That's what sandstone pipes are used for. And then we have the emerald transport pipe. It's made with emeralds and a piece of glass. The emerald transport pipe is basically a wooden pipe, but if you right click on it, it has an interface with filters on it. So, let's say out of this chest, you only want cobblestone coming out of the chest, coming into this line, because it's going into a void pipe or something. And yes, void pipes do work both ways. So if I was to put in some stakes, some torches, my philosopher's stone, and cobblestone, the only thing that will be pumped out will be cobblestone. So whatever you put in for your filter is what will be pumped out. Now if I got rid of the filter, nothing will get pumped out. The only things that will get pumped out will have to be listed in the filters. And the cool thing about it is that it doesn't actually use up an item, it's just got a ghost item there. So that is good to know. Alright, so now here comes one of probably the most useful pipe in the game. The diamond transport pipe. It is made with diamonds and a piece of glass, and you get 8. And remember how if we had this set up, we could use the iron pipe to make all items go in one direction. Otherwise, we'll just go in random directions. Well, this pipe, when you place it down, it's very colorful. And if you right-click on it, you'll notice that there are a bunch of filters, each corresponding to different colors. Basically, those colors correspond to here. So, if we put 3 different kinds of items in the chest, so we'll just have, let's see, we want them going into these 3 chests, so we have green, red, and yellow. Let's say we want hoppers to go yellow, furnaces to go red, and cobblestone to go, I think it was blue? No, it was green. We want cobblestone to go green. So if we put some cobblestone, some hoppers, and some furnaces in there, as each one of them gets pumped out, they'll hit the diamond transport pipe, and they'll go in whatever direction it is designated. So cobblestone will go green, and only go green. It will never go anything else but green. Hoppers will go yellow, and furnaces will go red. Now let's say we had another one, which is white here, and let's say we put in something that isn't on the diamond transport pipe, like iron pipes. These are not in the diamond transport pipe here, so what will happen is it will pick an unlabeled filter to go through, so it'll go through the white one because it doesn't have, it's not saying that only certain items can go through here, so when it's blank, it'll act just like a normal pipe. So no matter what we put in there, we can put in stone, iron, gold, obsidian, void, sandstone, they'll all go through the white path because the other possible paths are taken up by the filter. So using this, you can make some pretty cool sorting systems. And everything is going up into that white chest. Alright, so the last thing I need to show you with pipes is this, the auto crafting table. It is crafted with 4 wooden gears around a crafting table, and when we right click on it, you'll notice it looks just like a normal crafting table. However, when we put in a recipe and we click out, the recipe stays in there. And also we can stack items and they'll stay in there still, and we can pull and it'll be fine. So like, well, what's the use in this? It's like a normal crafting table. You can actually pump items in and out of this. So for example, if we do this, put down a chest. Oh, I need this to be a wooden pipe. Get myself some engines. Redstone signal. And we have cobblestone in there, because cobblestone used to make furnaces. When we turn these on, you'll notice that this engine here does not pull out that furnace. Pipes will always keep one of every item inside the table at once, so they can be filled up. Because you'll notice now, as the items come in, they evenly distribute themselves throughout the recipe. So if this was a more complex recipe, you'll notice that the items would go in the correct spots, and as soon as each one of these spots has 2 in there, it'll pull out a furnace and get put in that chest there. So this way, you can basically automatically craft things by putting the raw ingredients into one chest and have it all pipe out into a bunch of auto crafting tables, and as soon as this last piece here goes, we'll see it happen, and you can make a whole bunch of cool stuff. So there it goes. Everything's on, and out pops a furnace. So any recipe will fit in here. You just have to make sure you put in the recipe first. And if you pull out beforehand and like the recipe, it's not a recipe, it will just keep filling them up and it won't actually do anything. So if we were to take out everything, it would just kind of put it in there. Or no, it wouldn't put it in there. You have to have a recipe in there, otherwise it's going to pop onto the ground. So just remember that. You have to have a recipe in there, otherwise it's not going to be accepted as an inventory. Alright, so the next kind of pipe we're going to be taking a look at... Oh, this thing over here is still pumping. The next kind of pipe we'll be looking at is going to be waterproof pipes. Now, waterproof pipes are used to pump around liquids. And there are the same kind of pipes as there are for normal item transport pipes as there are for liquids, and they basically all serve the same functions, except for a couple of them. So, you'll notice that to make any kind of waterproof pipe, you're basically going to take the normal item transport pipe and apply pipe waterproofing. Now, pipe waterproofing is made from, in vanilla Minecraft, it's made from cactus green, which you get from smelting cactus down. So, one thing we're going to need, so I can show you guys, this is a tank. Tanks are used to store liquids, You're just made up with 8 glass in a chest shape, you get a tank. You place it in the world. Now they do stack, so these will share inventory, so if you pumped water or liquids into the bottom one, it will still go up to the top. It's considered one giant inventory. So, one way to get liquids in to these tanks is just to right click with a bucket in your hand. I think this also works with cans. Yes, it also works with cans and anything else that can hold liquid. You just right click and it fills up. So now that it's full, let's say we wanted to move it to this tank here. I'm going to move that actually back a little bit. So we have the same basic options as with item transportation. We've got the stone and cobblestone ones, which are just like that. There's no difference between the two, except they don't connect. See, don't connect. We then have our iron ones, which serve the same exact purpose. You can choose which way liquids come from and which way they go. You then have void, which basically deletes the liquid. Sandstone doesn't connect to machines, just as the item transport ones do. The only difference is with the golden ones. The golden ones don't speed up liquids, because they already do float pretty quickly. What it does is basically golden waterproof pipes can transport more water per pipe than a normal one can, than a stone or cobblestone one can. So you might as well just go right to gold each time, but you'll see how it's only kind of full, while that one's very full. That's because the same amount of water is in there as is in there. The only difference though is that can hold much, much more. So if you're going to do things with water, I recommend just going right to golden waterproof piping, just because it's much easier to use. So these pipes can transport any liquid: oil, fuel, water, lava, any liquid that can be in liquid form. Now this over here, this is a pump. Pumps do exactly what you think they do, is that they pump liquids. They're made like this, with a tank on top of a mining well. Mining wells are made with an iron pickaxe, iron redstone, and an iron gear, which is made like that. So the cool thing about these is that the best way to operate these though is with 4 redstone engines, and they automatically eject their liquid. So we'll just take this pipe over here and connect it right on up to our tank. And the liquid will flow, and you notice that it's filling up rather quickly. So this will basically pump liquids wherever you have it placed. It has to be placed over top of liquids, and then that thing there will extend down into the liquid, and it will start pumping. And if you had a large lake, it would pump from the edges and slowly pump towards where the pump is at. So you can drain like entire lakes using this thing. Alright, so the very last thing I want to talk to you guys about is the power transport pipes. There are only 3 kinds. There is golden conductive pipes, stone conductive pipes, and wooden conductive pipes. To make said pipes, you have to just do a redstone with the wooden transport type of the correct type. And basically, they transport energy. You see that little blue line right there? That is the energy going through the pipes. Now, the only difference between the stone transport pipes and the golden conductive pipes is that the golden conductive pipes don't have any loss, or they have very little loss. I think it's like you lose like one Minecraft joule over like 100 blocks, so it's very small. It might even be 1% over 100 blocks, but it's so small that it's almost immeasurable. Whereas you lose quite a bit of energy using these over long distances. So short distances, these are fine, but if you're going to be doing anything more than a block or 2, you want to use golden. So my recommendation is to skip stone, go right to golden. But you have to be careful, because if energy builds up on these pipes, so if this thing was full, the energy would build up in the pipes and the pipes would explode. You also don't want to do this and have a power loop going. As you can see, as the energy is building up, it's building up, it's building up, and it will end up exploding here. And the explosion is pretty devastating. And that's going to do it for part 1 of this spotlight. I covered all the pipes and the basics of the mods in this one, and in the next episode, part 2, I will be covering basically all of the machines and the more advanced features of the mods. So, I hope you enjoyed. Keep a lookout for part 2. Subscribe if you want to be notified when it comes out. And I will see you guys next time.